Hello, dear colleagues. I'm glad to welcome you on the PhDs. My name is Aydar Fatihov from Inner Stage Company, Meta Partner, Positive Hug Days. And today we're going to speak about cloud safety, security, cloud security, what classes of solutions do exist in this direction, what business values do they carry. I hope it's going to be interesting, so please sit down and listen carefully. Clouds become more and more popular, they have to be protected, and I face it every day at my work. My specialization is building cloud infrastructures, protecting them, cloud applications including. But in the beginning, before I will start speaking about the main topic of my presentation, let's look at how it looks right now and how the clouds penetrated into the business. At the given slide, you can see analytical information from CNews. They've conducted public poll among Russian companies, and according to these analytics, 64% of companies use cloud computing in their infrastructure. First of all, this was dictated from the financial point of view. Thanks to the cloud technologies, the companies can save on IT up to 30%. They can save on the infrastructure up to 40%, and routine operations for infrastructural service are being halved. When I'm speaking about using clouds, what do I mean by that? On the diagram in the center, you can see that approximately 30% of respondents have said that they use public clouds, 21% have replied that they use private clouds, and vast majority, 47%, have replied that they use hybrid clouds, partially use them public clouds, and partially they deploy it in their private cloud. However, for the fullness of the picture, we need to answer how intensively they use this cloud infrastructure. And on graph number 3, we see that 35% of companies have already transferred into the cloud infrastructure vast majority of their infrastructure, vast majority from 60 and up to 100%. There is a small question. Please lift your hands. Those of you who in your work who already have transferred communications, corporate mail, corporate email, corporate VKS. Lift your hands who've done that. Okay, and now I'd like to see hands of those who knows that once he is in the cloud. Well, it is confirmed by the research, the most popular services which can be deployed, these are different database, client services, communication services, and less often ERP systems, accounting systems, financial accounting system of salary accounting. However, with the growth of popularity of cloud computing, the growth of attacks against cloud infrastructure, we see. And here's the Google Cloud Analytics. 47% are risks of information security related with access management. And we can put here risks related with weak passwords, with absent passwords. And we can remember a recent case with DeepSeek when they forgot to install a password to their cloud database. Same thing, these risks can include extra privileges for account services which are available in the clouds. And according to the Palo Alto Cloud Security Alert Trends Analytics, 116%. It's the growth of trips when CIEM services for the short period of time receives authorization from geographically remote regions, which is impossible to realize in real life. Also, according to Google Cloud Analytics, 34% of information security risks are related to config factors and human errors. And of course, while looking at the information security risks, we shouldn't forget about protecting hosts, container applications, because if you don't pay significant attention to this topic, criminals, they do have a lot of extortion programs, crypto mining, and GPU and CPU are used for mining. And this is among service providers. What can be done with those risks? Well, according to Gigamon Analytics, which have been speaking to more than 1,000 as specialists, they say that standard means are not sufficiently efficient to protect from cloud computing. And also from my experience, I can show that classical EDR system, due to the fact that they don't have understanding in all cloud assets that are used in the infrastructure, it's not always understandable whether all agents are installed or CIEM system. During the log analysis, do they have the context depth which cloud config is applied to this asset in the cloud? To, well, inefficient security and other risks, there are additional drivers which can be directed for the development of the cloud security area. And the first direction is the fact that we actively apply DevOps, we build and deploy applications through CI/CD, and these demands that our security systems have to be automated. They have to be inbuilt in CI/CD pipelines, and we have infrastructure which is described as a code, and then safety should also be described as a code. And if we have some specific cloud functionalities, for example, as auto-scaling, support of big number of changes, then the means of protection in the cloud environment should be also adopted for these requests. The next driver here I would like to point out is the complexity of management of security in the cloud environments, and first of all, complexity of managing of the IAM. Recently, identity are being stolen in different ways. It's given to users, services, microservices, service functions. Access management can be in different cloud providers. And how can you manually follow all of this? It is very difficult. And driver number 3, requirements of regulators, irrespectively to whether the system is on ground or in a cloud. And how does it work with the protection? How the Gartner was introducing new applications. The first class cloud workload protection platform in the year 2016, it was from Cloud Native Application Protection Platform that was produced in 2021. On the slide, you can see the brief information about each of these classes of solutions. I'm not going to elaborate too much on them, but let's look at them in more detail. So class number 1, Cloud Workload Protection Platform. This class of solutions is concentrating on the useful workload that you place in the cloud, different virtual servers, container applications, and everything related to them. Why this class of solutions is very important? Let's imagine that we have an informational system which in the course of the workday, with the help of the auto screening mechanism, for example, adds 10 instances of virtual service, and by the end of the workday, when the load on the information system is dropping, they are deleted. So how correct protection systems can correct these applications and their behavior? And cloud workload protection platform solutions, they are developed for these objectives and tasks. They are built to work with all ICDs so that safety would be at the first level of the deployment of the application. Also, this class of solutions has a functionality for the asset management of the specific cloud facilities. And thanks to the integration with cloud solutions, cloud providers through the API, these solutions do understand the picture from which service, what operation systems have been deployed in the cloud, what are the container applications from which images they are being lifted, and what cloud databases are used. the whole context that is available in cloud, it's being taken by them from the asset management. And these two recent properties in building CI/CD and asset management, they will be specific for the all following classes of solutions. The next solution class is the cloud security post management. This one is developed for finding configuration errors in the cloud assets. They read configuration of virtual machines, virtual networks, network rules, container applications, and configuration of databases. They compare these configurations with best practices, and then they discover where you can have information security risk and what can lead to the leak of information. Why this class is very important? It's important due to the fact that a lot of data leakages are happening due to errors in configuration. Somewhere in the code or in the description of the infrastructure, you have added one parameter and server became accessible from the internet. And in order to follow this configuration in automatic mode, well, this class of solutions is responsible for that. And the next scheme, Gartner shows us what is the difference between two previous classes. Cloud Workload Protection Platform is more concentrated on data plane, so they are protecting virtual servers and containers. And Cloud Security Posture Management is on a contour plane of the cloud infrastructure. It's their concentration. Let's move to the next class of solutions, cloud infrastructure entitlement management. Generally, this solution is focused on the analysis per visualizations and the cloud objects. And as a separate class of solutions, it was discovered in the beginning of 20s when Gartner was fixing 80% growth of the number of incidents related with simple improper access rights in the clouds. All this has been worsened by multi-million penalties for data leakages and GDPR and HIPAA legislation toughening. And the final class of solutions that we're going to look upon is cloud-native application protective platform. This class of solutions is aimed to provide protection for native cloud applications. It's more platform solution, which includes functionality of all three previous classes of solutions, and additionally to them adds functionality for application security. The main value of this class of solutions is that cloud security is much easier to be managed. We are not working with different security systems, but we work within one single platform. Also, this class of solutions is more aimed at development teams. The main idea is to maximize and simplify DevOps specialists and developers, and we should convey to them what information security risks are available in the deployed cloud. And then they themselves can make a decision how to minimize these risks and introduce changes into the code database and correct some conflict in the deployment of the clouds. And in this scheme, Gartner shows how in modern realities we can extend the zone of responsibility for the team of development. And if previously they were responsible for the safe software availability absence, and now additionally they have to be responsible for how safe are their applications in deployment in the cloud infrastructure. Also on this slide you can see an example of vendors which do these type solutions. These are those you know about and those I remembered during preparing this presentation. And finally, when we have looked at all main classes of solutions, when we have learned about which values these solutions bring to the market, I presented a small plan. How can you evaluate whether this solution is applicable in your infrastructure? In the beginning, I recommend to do a small audit, evaluate and assess which cloud services do you use, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, which configurations do they have, and manually discover certain vulnerabilities, misconfigs. Manually, this can be done better than automatically, because you'll be able to assess how expedient it is to implement some automated solution to solve this problem. And also during this audit, you also have to assess the team validity of the processes, maturity of the processes, so that you can use this. And if during the audit you come to the decision that you have to use cloud security type of application, then the recommendation is to build priorities. What should you be focused on? Control plane protection or data plane protection, or maybe you will decide to implement platform solutions and cloud native application protection platform. And good recommendation will be, please don't forget to pay attention to inbuilt protection means which are available in cloud providers, and pay attention to the existing open source projects which also are aimed at cloud security. Well, this is the end of my presentation. If you have any, well, there's a small form, feedback form, where you can ask questions, ask for materials, and we will be glad to see you on our stand for Inner Stage Comedy. Please come. Thank you very much.